and national and international motorsport commentator Frankie Yennis. Frankie, good evening to you.
Gary, good day. FC, good day. Gavin, good day. And hello, everybody at home.
It's going to be good stuff coming to you from KNOCKHILL, as we said, in the touring cars. FC Nivot and Frankie Yennis doing most of the commentary for you for today. We've got a 5-minute qualifier that is going to be going down. Then we're going to have two 20-minute races, and then we'll add it all together for you at the end. Willem Botha in the Toyota Gazoo Hyundai out there, should I say. There's Ian Riddle in the Castrol colours. Timothy Stanton back in South Africa, having partied with the kids. Remember, these guys are going to have to first do a full lap, and then they will go out and do a flyer thereafter. Look easy, using the Rockstar energy drink livery. Gerald Maget in the Gulf colours, that's the one that he likes. Pity Hubert out there as well, and well, what a well-known livery that is. Pennzoil worldwide, you can't miss out on that. Swayze Hubert, he's got the Hot Wheels livery on his motor car. Sandra Bakari out there as well, always nice to have Sandra out there, and a big thanks to Sandro for taking over the reins and making it all possible in the absence of Dr. Mike Verrier, that's changed his racing program for the year. In fact, he will be up at Kyalami for this weekend for the 9-hour race, and looking forward to seeing how that one's going to pan out for him. Francois Hubert, Frankie, goes to the went to the top of the reel.
Yeah, then it was Luke Lucchesi, and now it's Johan Fourie with a 52.188 seconds. So these guys are doing sub 1 minute around Knockhill.
Yeah, we actually saw some of the guys going around about the 51 to 50-second average lap times around the track here at Dunfin Hill. But Johan Fourie up top there, Luke Lucchesi in second, with Francois Hubert currently in that third position. But look at Raymond Duggan in that fourth position at this stage of the fight.
Yeah, Duggan 7/10 of a second off Johan Fourie. Colin Plitt in the Hyundai 1.1. 4 seconds off provisional pole sitter Johan Fourie. And there's a personal best there for Francois Hubert. Luke Lucchesi pips the top of the qualifying log so far with a 51.988.
A lot of times changing up here at the moment. Francois Hubert managed to move himself up into that third position, as we're already almost 3.5 minutes into this qualifying session. Only a 5-minute qualifying session today. Francois Hubert thinks he can improve on that time. He's still out on circuit. Johan Engelbrecht currently out there. Look at Willem Botha going 58 hundredths off of the pace of our current pole sitter Luke Lucchesi.
Well, that's why they FC only got a very short qualifying session, because 2 laps is what you can do. So you need 3 minutes out of the total of 5 minutes to be able to put your times in. Willem Pina still out on circuit, and he's already done his 2 laps, hence stopping on the circuit, and he finds himself in 15th position and checks how exactly is the quickest way to get off the line with that motor car. The only thing that's slightly different today is, in fact, that it is standing starts, hence the fact that he's practicing those starts.
I think that's why he's thrown away his second flying lap there, to rather focus on getting a good start at the beginning of this race. Eugene Minuk is the man that you're currently seeing out on your screen. He's a 5.5 seconds off the lead pace there of Luke Lucchesi. He's going to have to get a move on there. He's only got about 20 seconds left to get a complete lap in for this qualifying.
Yeah, and just under 1.1 seconds separating the top 10 there from Luke Lucchesi all the way down to Johan Engelbrecht. And we're all in Hyundais, Hondas and Audis. That is Raymond Duggan you're seeing there on your screen, just under 7/10 of a second behind provisional pole sitter Luke Lucchesi, who will be the man on pole as the qualifying session is done.
Well, it's going to be interesting to see exactly how this one's going to play itself out. There is the grid. the West Province Sports and GT Masters at KNOCKHILL in touring cars. The front row of the grid, Luke Lucchesi and Johan Ferry. That's going to be blinding there quick. But even better, Francois Joubert and Willem Botha on the second row of the grid. And then two of the most improved drivers out there, Raymond Duggan and Sandra Bakari, wrapping up the third row of the grid.
Herman Lazarus finds himself out there in the start of the fourth row alongside Robbie Tings, Suez Hubert and Johan Engelbrecht fills up row number 5 there with Peter Hubert, Stephen McCarthy, Colin Plitt and Timothy Stanton rounding off your top 14.
Yeah, then behind Stanton it's Willem Pina, Gerald Murget, Ian Riddle and Eugene Manouk. 18 cars, 9 rows of Audis, Hondas and Hyundais as off we go. 2 20-minute races and we are away here at Dunfermline at the KNOCKHILL International Raceway as they make their way through that very difficult turn number 1. And it's Luke Lucchesi from Johan Ferry. Peter Hubert is in that second position. Then we've got Willem Botha and Sandra Bakari. These guys are side by side, and it is Botha that gets his nose ahead there of Bakari. And right behind him, FC, is Raymond Duggan in P6.
Yeah, Raymond Duggan getting past Sandra Bakari there to move up into that 5th position as Bakari drops down to 6. Robbie Tings right there with them in the Hyundai. Then Lazarus out there in P8. He's being chased down by Suez Hubert, Peter Hubert, Johan Engelbrecht. All of them rack stacked up back in there as they work their way through the chicane towards Butchers. Now they're going to head towards the second to last corner. That's McIntyre. And then they're going to go up to Duffersdip, codenamed Doofusdip here by the commentary team at Second Gear Productions. Oh, there's contact! There's contact between Ferry and Luke Lucchesi.
Yeah, Lucchesi dropping down that leaderboard. We're going to have a replay at this situation between Johan Ferry and Luke Lucchesi going into that very tricky turn number 1. Ferry dives on the inside, Lucchesi on the outside, and there's contact. And coming through to take the lead is Francois Hubert.
Francois Hubert, the man that's known for not making too many mistakes out there at the front. They're leading this one. Willem Botha stuck to the back bumper there of that Honda of Hubert. He's out there in second. Johan Ferry has maintained top 3 with that contact there. He's down there in third. Robbie Tings is behind Raymond Duggan. Sandro Bakari dropping down another position with Lazarus. And then Luke Lucchesi having dropped down to 8th place.
Quickest man out there with a time of 53.114. I was just going to say that as we go to the replay. And that is Peter Hubert right off the circuit and slams that Pennzoil Honda into the tyre barrier. Sandra Bakari also losing circuit there. And that's one of the reasons why he's busy losing a lot of ground.
Yeah, that's a bit of positions lost there for Sandro Bakari. But let's have a look what's happening here. Oh, as Francois Hubert has run wide, and that's left the door open there for Pinar and for Johan Ferry. Willem Botha and Johan Ferry to get past, as well as Raymond Duggan. And that drops Francois Hubert all the way down to 4th.
Yeah, he was in the lead there for a brief moment in time when that situation happened in front. He's dropped all the way down to P4. But he's only 0.4 of a second behind Raymond Duggan. Look at this dogfight coming down towards us. Sandra Bakari, Robbie Tings. Right behind them is Herman Lazarus and Luke Lucchesi in the Rockstar outfit making a comeback. Suez Hubert is in there behind him as well with a Hot Wheels car. So these 5 are going 1-on-1 for Bakari's P5.
Yeah, this is going to be where the hotspot is for guys that are going to try and get to the front end of this field. They're all wrecked, stacked and packed in there behind Sandra Bakari. It's Robbie Tings, Herman Lazarus and Lucchesi, and then Suez Hubert also joining that fight. Lucchesi's got to get past this train if he's got any chance to catch up to that group ahead of them and challenge for that lead. But Willem Botha is currently putting no feet wrong there at the front, being chased down by Johan Ferry. Botha goes fastest out there on a 51.806.
Yeah, not too far behind that group of 5. You've got Johan Engelbrecht and 0.2 of a second behind him is Timothy Stanton as we watch Sandra Bakari making his way around. Right behind him is Robbie Tings and Lucchesi is cutting and carving his way through. Lucchesi sits in there right behind Robbie Tings. He's hooked up onto that back bumper of Robbie Tings. Will he dive on the inside? No, he won't. He'll just sit there behind Robbie Teams when the time is right. This is a very tricky part of the circuit that they're going to now, as you've got to get this one 100% right. There's a lot of blind rises, and if you don't know where you're placing your car, you're going to get it all wrong. There we ride inboard with Lucchese as he is rubbing that back bumper there of Robbie Teams, and now sits there on with him side by side, or almost side by side.
Gonna try and make a move up on the inside. There is Luke Lucchese. He's trying to get his nose up. He's alongside him into turn number 1. That's Taylor's corner, and Lucchese makes that move stick. Now, what makes this circuit layout so tricky is the fact that they're running Knockhill in a opposite direction from what they normally would run the circuit.
Anti-clockwise, quite right. Herman Lazarus sitting there 7/10 of a second behind the Hot Wheels car of Swiss Hubert that you see right there in front of him, and just ahead of Swiss Hubert is Robbie Teams. Herman Lazarus, the man of cheapercars.co.za, is all over him, as Herman Lazarus is only 4/10 of a second behind Swiss.
Yeah, as the laps start counting down here, the time starts counting down. We see Francois Hubert trying to get back past Raymond Duggan after that mistake that he made, running wide and losing 3 positions there, dropping him down to 4th. He's got to work very, very hard. But look at this for high-speed train. Oh, there's contact between Engelbrecht and Stephen McCarthy. Those were the two that made contact there, and Engelbrecht got ricocheted off the circuit.
Yeah, not quite good there for Engelbrecht, as we have a look at that front left-hand side suspension of that Herman Lazarus Hyundai, and he is still right on the case there of Swiss Hubert. Remember that this is a 20-minute race. There are 2 20-minute races, 100% fuel capacity, so there will be no pit stops, and there is nothing from P3 all the way down, well, P3 and 4. Then we've got big gaps for 5 and 6, but watch out for Lucchese in P5. That gap will get a little bit smaller and smaller as he hunts down Francois Hubert.
Yeah, he's definitely going to be out on the hunt there, but Robbie Teams just managed to get past Sandro Bakari, and Bakari is now under pressure there from Swiss Hubert and Herman Lazarus. That's the fight you see right ahead of you from the left-hand front wheel of Herman Lazarus. Swiss Hubert directly ahead of him in the Hot Wheels car with Sandro Bakari and Robbie Teams. Those are the 3 cars just ahead of this viewpoint.
Oh, that's 7, 8, 9, and 10 that you are looking at there with Herman sitting in that 9th position. Here they come, all 4 of them. We go to the sharp end of the field, and it's getting busy. It's getting very, very busy. Johan Fourie crowding that back bumper of Willem Botha. There's 3 seconds between Fourie and Duggan. And here we go with this fight. They're going into turn number 1. It is a massive, massive fight. Robbie Teams, Swiss Hubert, and Herman Lazarus going one-on-one, the 4 of them.
Yeah, Robbie Teams having gone very, very wide going into turn number 1 there, losing that place back to Sandro Bakari. But we've got a change of leader up at the front. Johan Fourie managed to get past Willem Botha, and Botha loses another position as Raymond Duggan also got past. So there was a mistake from your race leader, Willem Botha.
Ran off the circuit very wide onto the dirty stuff, and he loses that lead there to Fourie. As a matter of fact, he loses 2 positions. There is Botha coming through, and he lost the tail end and plants the rear end into the tyre wall.
I was at a point where I wanted to say, we know Willem Botha can be blindingly quick when he's out there, but as soon as he comes under pressure, he starts pushing a little bit too hard, and that's when he starts making mistakes there, as we see Eugene Manouk working his way around the circuit here in the Veloster, almost stomping dead on the brakes to allow the rest of the guys to come past.
Yeah, right on that brake pedal, not to get in their way, but we're back here with the man that sits up there in P1. That is Johan Fourie. He's going to pick up Willem Pina, who's a backmarker. Pina makes his way into pit lane. As Johan Fourie goes through, Willem Botha's trying hard. Botha is trying very hard. There's only 4/10 of a second between himself and the man ahead of him in P2, Raymond Duggan.
Yeah, Willem Botha can be very, very dangerous out there when he's on the hunt, but he just tends to just put it that little bit too far, and that's where we see mistakes happening that gets him onto the grass and costs him positions. Let's see if he can come back from that mistake. Currently sitting in that third position, chasing down Raymond Duggan, but he's got to remember he's got Francois Hubert chasing down from behind in the Honda.
Right, there was a couple of PBs out there between Teens and Bakari early on, so we go back to this fight out here, and they are fighting for Robbie Teens' 6th position. Behind him is Sandro Bakari and Sway Schubert. We ride aboard here with Sway Schubert. Man, this is difficult. Going to that part of the circuit. Sway Schubert right on the case of Sandro Bakari, who's crowding the back end there of Robbie Teens.
Robbie Teens and Bakari having swapped positions throughout this race, as we see Luke Lucchese putting up a fastest lap of the race so far for 51.177. As he is on the hunt, he's closed down that gap from about 7 seconds down to 2.6. But Robbie Teens and Sandro Bakari still swapping places as Bakari runs it wide into turn number 1 and Robbie Teens gets a bit of a breather.
Well, here they come towards us. That is a Sway Schubert you see out there in that Hot Wheels car. Right ahead of him is Sandro Bakari. Right ahead of him is Robbie Teens. That is 6 and 7, 8, 9. They're right there with him. But at the business end of the field, I see that Willem Botha is now only 0.4 of a second behind Raymond Duggan. So Botha is launching a comeback. He's right on his case there. Robbie Teens has got Sandro Bakari crowding the back end of that bumper.
Yeah, Sandro Bakari wants to get that Audi ahead of him and hopefully try to make it stick. This is the mistake from Engelbrecht to put it onto the dirty stuff, ran it wide in the Elantra, and that's how he lost that position to the cars ahead of him. Let's have a look here. Robbie Teens makes a mistake.
Well, it was going to happen because those 4 of them were going one-on-one. This is a replay. Sandro Bakari coming through, having a look on the outside, and there's contact. Bang! And both of them suffer because of that.
Yeah, a heavy tag there by Sandro Bakari onto the back bumper of Robbie Teens. Teens having dropped all the way down to 13th position now. We saw something similar or a little bit more intense from your current race leader, Johan Fourie, as he went up on the inside there of the then race leader, Luke Lucchese. That has dropped Lucchese down to that 5th place. But let's have a look here. Raymond Duggan sits there in second, but he's getting attacked there by Willem Botha. Botha's all over the back bumper of that Hyundai as they battle it out around KNOCKHILL.
And not so far behind them, 2.1 seconds, he's Francois Hubert. These guys are side by side. It's Botha and it's Duggan, and it's Botha fighting for survival to stay ahead there of Duggan. And while they are doing this, Francois Hubert is just over a second behind Duggan and launching a go at the two of them.
Never mind Hubert. Look who's on the tail of Hubert. Luke Lucchese's got that down to 0.8 of a second. Lucchese's on the hunt. He smells blood in the water with about 7.5 minutes left in this race. I still think Lucchese can get onto a podium here.
Well, here he comes, Raymond Duggan. That's the rear cam of the Duggan car. 1.3 seconds behind him is Francois Hubert. 0.5 of a second behind Hubert is Lucchese. And those are the 2 cars that you see there behind that bumper cam of Raymond Duggan.
Raymond Duggan has got that in his rear view mirrors. He knows he's got to try to get back at Botha, but he knows he's got Hubert. And Lucchese gets past Hubert. Luke Lucchese works up into that 4th position. There's a replay. So Francois Hubert got it wrong as he came out of that corner, put it on the grass, and that made it easy for Lucchese to work up into P4.
Well, that's what pressure does, and Francois Hubert succumbed to that pressure. But back to the man up front, nearly 5 seconds ahead of Willem Botha is Johan Fourie. Busy circulating around KNOCKHILL circuit. He's out there in the Veloster. Then behind him, we've got Willem Botha. Behind Botha, 0.8 of a second behind him is Raymond Duggan. And only 1.4 seconds behind Duggan is Lucchese. Don't count Lucchese out. for a podium finish in race 1.
Yeah, you're either brave or stupid if you count Lucchesi out of a top position here today. As you see, Francois Hubert's dropped all the way down to 15th, now 16th after sustaining that damage. But let's have a look here. 6 minutes in this race. Fourie from Botha, from Duggan. Duggan is under a second behind Willem Botha now. Then Lucchesi chasing down. Let's have a look here at what's happening there in position number 8. Ian Riddle getting chased down by Gerald Mauger.
And Johan Engelbrecht is launching a comeback as well. There's Ian Riddle.
Whoop.
And Engelbrecht.
Literally launching a comeback.
Yeah, Engelbrecht. And he was airborne there. And Timothy Stanton is coming into play as well. And they are all fighting it out there for Ian Riddle's 8th position.
Yeah, Riddle's going to start coming under a lot of pressure as they go under the bridge onto the main straight there. The Beatson's Building Supplies Bridge heading into turn number 1 into Taylor's Corner. That's going to take them onto the long railway straight as they all get bunched in together there going through turn number 1. Check how those brakes glow cherry red. But back up to this man in 12th position, Robbie Teings. He's a half a minute behind Timothy Stanton. And basically on his own there, as Stephen McCarthy is 9.3 seconds behind him.
Yeah, Timothy Stanton, he is 4/10 of a second behind Johan Engelbrecht, who's 7/10 of a second behind Mauger, who's 6/10 of a second behind Riddle. So these guys are having a massive fight there for that P7 as they work their way around KNOCKHILL circuit. And Timothy Stanton, well, he's okay. He's got 31 seconds between himself and Robbie Teings. So in that fight for P8, it is Stanton that has probably got the best seat in the house. Any one of them make a mistake and he will get through on the inside or the outside somewhere.
It's races like this that make me remember why I love touring car racing. The racing's always exciting, a lot of stuff happening all over the place here. And if you make a small mistake, there is chance for you to come back at it.
Yeah.
You can find a rhythm, get the car back into a sweet spot, and then start chasing somebody down again.
So the last lap was 51.4, and that is Johan Fourie, and he is the quickest man out there. And then Lucchesi with a 51.5 in P4. He is the second quickest driver out there.
That's why Lucchesi has been able to make that move. And in fact, Luke Lucchesi has just passed Raymond Duggan. And that was because Raymond went off the circuit just a little bit wide. So Lucchesi at this point is the quicker man out there, 51.5. 2/10 that he's taken out of Willem Botha. But with 16 minutes, 37 out of 20 minutes, that is not enough for him to be able to catch him.
Peter Hubert is not having a good time out there whatsoever. That Pennzoil car more on the grass, busy cutting grass and doing a gardening than what he's actually been racing out there and now standing in the pits.
Yeah, a lot of battle scars on that Peter Hubert car, but still that fight goes on for Riddle's 8th position. He's in P8 and Engelbrecht and Stanton are still right there with him. Gerald Mauger was 1.1 seconds behind this. Stanton is in P10, 4/10 of a second between himself and Engelbrecht ahead of him. But Willem Botha and Raymond Duggan are right there with Luke Lucchesi.
Yeah, well, never mind being right there by Luke Lucchesi. The reason they're there is because Luke Lucchesi's passed them. He's made it up into second place. He got past Willem Botha and Duggan into that second place. And now he's got around about 2 minutes, 20 seconds left. I don't think he's going to catch Fourie, but he is back up into second position.
Well, they're running off the circuit. That's why he's moving his way up. But I did say, don't count out Luke Lucchesi for a top 3. And Botha got it all wrong. Maybe a touch of pressure there from Lucchesi. And Luke has come through. He's 8.3 seconds behind Johan Fourie. Not going to catch Johan unless Johan gets it all wrong out there. But look at those cars get airborne. Man, you got to know your thing here. Raymond Duggan in P4, 5/10 of a second behind Willem Botha. But I'll tell you this for nothing. Lucchesi might have worked his way up into P2, but they are not letting Lucchesi escape down the road.
Yeah, look at this fight out here. Johan Engelbrecht and Timothy Stanton battling it out for 9th and 10th. Timothy Stanton eventually got past Engelbrecht, but Engelbrecht said, you can get past me, but I'm going to take back that position because I'm going to be the one that goes after Riddle, and he makes contact with Ian Riddle, and he bogs the rest of them down, and Mojay works his way past Timothy Stanton.
Yeah, Stanton was the one to come off second best in this one. But we go back here with Willem Botha. Luke is ahead of him. Luke Lucchesi, 0.2 of a second, 0.4 of a second behind Botha is Duggan. They're on the track, they're on the curbstone, they're on the rumble strip, they're on the grass. These guys are everywhere, and they are busy working their way around, and they're going to catch the man in P14 and get past him, namely Colin Plitt.
Yeah, Colin Plitt, the man currently out there in that 14th position, but riding on board your race leader as we are in the last minute of this race. It is Johan Fourie in the Monster Energy Veloster out in the lead. Luke Lucchesi in the other Hyundai, he's out there in that second position. Out there in the Elantra, the Rockstar Energy Elantra. Willem Botha currently out there in third. He was in third, because look at Raymond Duggan.
Yeah, Duggan makes a mistake and he goes wide, and he gives that position right back there to Willem Botha.
He says, yeah, I went past you, but here, have it back.
Take it all back.
As we go into the closing stages of this race, checkered flag is out. Across the line will come this man in the Monster Energy car, Johan Fourie. And contact there between Plitt and Luke Lucchesi. But Lucchesi hangs on across the line. No! Willem Botha! Willem Botha!
700ths of a second between Botha and Lucchesi.
Yeah, Raymond Duggan in fourth. Next man through will be this man in the Hot Wheels Veloster. It's Sway Schubert. He's 15 seconds down the road. Across the line he goes now in that fifth place. Herman Lazarus had a good race out there in the Elantra. He comes at home in sixth position with Sandra Bakari in the Audi that'll cross the line in seventh.
V8 will be Ian Riddle. There he comes, Ian Riddle crossing the line in the Castrol machine, the Hyundai Veloster, and then behind him in P9 is Johan Engelbrecht, and then the second of the Audis is Gerald Mojay. But I think only the first 9 cars was on the lead lap.
Right, so that was
drama.
The very exciting race number 1, and immediately heading into race number 2, which will see the grid start the way they finished that race. So Johan Fourie will be on pole. Luke Lucchesi will try to look for a comeback out here in race number 2 with Duggan and Sway Schubert out there on the second row.
Herman Lazarus and Sandra Bakari, Ian Riddle, Johan Engelbrecht, and row 5, Willem Botha and Gerald Mojay.
Row number 6 is Timothy Stanton, Robbie Teams. Row number 7 will see Stephen McCarthy line up alongside Colin Plitt with Peter Hubert, Eugene Manouk, Francois Hubert, and Willem Pinaar rounding off your grid.
And off we go, off the line. As we get the grid done, off they go, off the line. Oh, there's drama in that mid-pack already, and drivers dropping all the way down. Engelbrecht, one of them dropping all down to P14.
Yeah, Timothy Stanton went completely sideways at that start. Gerald Mojay was involved in there. A lot of drivers getting bogged down with that start. But Johan Fourie is off into the lead. Luke Lucchesi hanging out to the back. He tries to go and sit around the outside. Lucchesi's going to try and make a move. He's going to want to have payback for race number 1. He's going to want to show Johan Fourie that this is how it's done.
Oh, here we go. Lucchesi right on that back bumper there of Johan Fourie. We ride with Lucchesi, having a look at that front left-hand side suspension. 0.2 of a second separating Fourie from Lucchesi. Out of the final corner, Lucchesi using KNOCKHILL circuit and a touch more as they race down towards Taylor's corner.
Look who's up into third. Sandro Bakari leads them in the first of the Audis. He's managed to get past Raymond Duggan, but now he runs it wide and he leaves the door open as Duggan reclaims third.
Oh, that's not what he wanted. Then behind them is Sway Schubert. Willem Botha sits out there in P6. We're having a look at Willem Botha coming through as we look at the Hot Wheels car there. Oh, Sway Schubert, and there's contact, and Botha gets sent packing into the tyre barrier.
Willem Botha getting plucked into the barriers there from that position.
FC's word of the day.
Dropping all the way down to 15th. A lot of guys not going to be happy with this second race as there's chaos all over the show. But the two people who don't know about any of the chaos are your race leaders, Johan Fourie, Luke Lucchesi, Raymond Duggan, Sandra Bakari and Swys Hubert.
So close to that wall was Lucchesi as Riddle making his way into the pits. Peter Hubert also going into the pits. Colin Plitt, all of them making their way into the pits. And a 52.985, Swys Hubert, the quickest man out there.
Yeah, Swys Hubert currently the quickest man out there. Eugene Minnock working his way up into 12th position as a lot of the guys jumped into the pits there to try and get some repairs done. But I tell you who's under a lot of pressure is the man at the front. It is Johan Fourie, because Luke Lucchesi is not letting him get away whatsoever.
Well, it's magic stuff between the two stalwarts of Masters iRacing, Fourie and Lucchesi. It don't get better than that. Johan Fourie and Luke Lucchesi. Francois Hubert in P8. He's got Robert Teens in P7. They're chasing down Stephen McCarthy. That sits there in P6. And that's at fight for 6, 7 and 8.
Yeah, a big fight out there for 7 and 8 as Francois Hubert moves up into 7th. Stephen McCarthy dropped down there. Let's have a look here what happened to Robbie Teens as he works his way past the DeWalt car there. As they work their way around the circuit into turn number 1. Let's have a look here. Something going to happen between him and Francois Hubert into turn 1. Hard on the brakes they go, and it looks like they both made it through.
Yeah, both made it through. No problems out there. Francois Hubert in a P7. But back to this hunt. It's not a fight, it's a hunt. And Lucchesi is hunting down Fourie. He's riveted to his back bumper. He picks up his toe as they go down the main straight. Remember, Taylor's corner is a very sharp left-hander. Lucchesi's up on his outside. He's going to be the last of the late breakers. It's Luke Lucchesi. And he muscles his way through into P1.
Lucchesi says, listen, Mr. Fourie, this is how you make a passing maneuver into turn number 1. And he makes it sick, now starts to pull away there. Raymond Duggan has moved up into that third position with Swys Hubert, then Sandra Bakari. Robbie Teens is right there out there having a battle with Francois Hubert. Right behind them, Stephen McCarthy, also part of that fight.
I remember Stephen McCarthy in the DeWalt car was a driver that went pretty slow when he lost a couple of positions out there. And he's launching a comeback for that position that Teens and Hubert has got. Willem Pina sitting out there in P9 and only 1 point, well, make it less than a second behind Pina is Willem Botha.
Yeah, Willem Botha, one of the probably the fastest guys out there, but when things go wrong for him, they go wrong properly as he's a drop down. But now he gets past Willem Pinaar is Willem Botha. He works his way up into that 9th position, but Francois Hubert is having a go there at Robbie Teens. Teens on that outside line as they go down the main straight. Who's going to be the first of the breakers out there side by side, and it looks like Hubert's done enough. Teens has gone wide, and through comes Stephen McCarthy.
Stephen McCarthy coming through as well, so that was a mistake there by him as he lost that position as well to McCarthy. McCarthy is now right on the back case of Francois Hubert, 0.2 of a second between the two of them. And right behind him is Robbie Teens. That was a mistake that Teens made, and he lost that position to McCarthy. And right there with him is Willem Botha. Willem Botha has joined that fight for Francois Hubert's P8.
Yeah, Willem Botha has actually come up very quickly on the back of there of Teens. Then a bit behind them is Willem Pinaar and Gerald Mauger. Mauger getting closer and closer there to Willem Pinaar as well. Johan Engelbrecht currently out there in 12th position, 11 seconds from Mauger. But look at this, Willem Botha and Robbie Teens. They make a slight contact, but Robbie Teens just hangs on to that one.
He's not going to give that one away without a fight. Just under a second behind them is Willem Pinaar. There you see him come into view, followed by Gerald Mauger. So Botha is the man on a move. Willem Botha had a look. This is that replay of him having the look and going wide and almost taking that position.
It actually looked like he almost had it, just
Yeah.
braked a little bit too late. Couldn't get the car slowed down enough to pick up speed going into the corner again.
Oh boy! He picks up Teens and turns him around.
And then he gives
Wow.
Eugene Minuk a nice kiss. Luckily makes it into the pits.
Oh, you heard somebody smash into the wall there. Oh, Willem, yo. And that is some serious damage on quite a few cars out there.
Utter carnage out there, but at the front, that battle is long from being over. Lucchesi in the lead. Johan Free now keeping him quite humble out there. Just look at how close they are to each other coming down that main straight, as you still see pieces from the other cars laying all over the show. They are pulling away from third place man Raymond Duggan, who's also now got a nice gap back to Swiss Hubert.
Yeah, 3.3 between Duggan and Hubert, but Johan Free, 7/10 of a second, separating himself from Luc Lucchesi, that sits out there in P1, and a personal best there for Swiss Hubert. Johan Free sitting right in there, waiting for him to make a mistake. Another PB there for Stephen McCarthy, a 52.5 for McCarthy. These cars get airborne. Look at that. Lucchesi's car, almost all four wheels into the air. And there's a couple of back markers in there, right there with him. But McCarthy is all over that back bumper of Francois Hubert.
Yeah, Francois Hubert in the Honda, not looking too comfortable out there, as Stephen McCarthy is giving a lot of trouble. Colin Plitt loses the position there to Willem Botha, who's got it back out onto the circuit and now needs to start fighting his way back towards the front end of the field. His next target is going to be Timothy Stanton, who is about 2.3 seconds up the road.
Yeah, Willem Botha sitting out there in P10, 1.9, 1.8 is getting closer between himself and Timothy Stanton. Stephen McCarthy, 4/10 of a second between himself and Francois Hubert. And not too far, there's about 12 seconds between Bakari and Hubert. So Bakari is about 12 seconds ahead of Francois. And this is the fight that you're looking at, the one between himself and Stephen McCarthy.
Yeah, Stephen McCarthy trying to put a lot of pressure there on Francois Hubert as they work their way around the circuit. Now the back marker is starting to play a role here in this fight for first and second. Johan Free currently chasing down Luc Lucchesi. They managed to work their way past Colin Plitt. And the next man that's going to play a role in this battle will be the 10th placed Willem Botha.
Yeah, Willem Botha all the way in P10. First and second, not a far behind him. As a matter of fact, it's 2.2 separating... that's Stanton from Botha. But back to Luc Lucchesi, it sits out there in P1. And he does see Willem Botha not a far ahead of him. As a matter of fact, there's Willem Botha just ahead of him. And there's 7/10 of a second between himself and Johan Free. Coming out that final corner, racing down the main straight towards Taylor's. A replay at Colin Plitt in the Puma-sponsored outfit. Running very, very wide and losing a couple of positions there.
Yeah, let's have a look here. Peter Hubert just putting it out into the kitty litter, and that Pennzoil car slipping and sliding all over the place today. Not too happy with that one is Peter Hubert. Eugene Minuk out in the Veloster doing a bit of gardening out there as well, and that's what happened, I think, with when he got it all wrong, as he clips Francois Hubert and takes him out towards the barrier as well.
That's a classic example of a back marker getting involved in a fight with dice up front, but Johan Engelbrecht is trying everything he knows in that 17 car, and that's a replay of him bouncing there over the grass.
Yeah, Minuk just losing a bit of control there on that car, plants it into the barrier on his own as well. But somebody who's not putting anything wrong out there is your race leader, Luc Lucchesi. And he's now got a nice, comfortable lead over your second place man, Johan Free. That's a 1.8, almost a 2-second gap between the two of them.
Yeah, it's nearly 2 seconds, the gap there. Duggan sitting in that third position. Raymond Duggan 4.1 seconds behind Johan Free, followed by this man, Swiss Hubert. 4.7 seconds is Hubert behind Duggan in that Hot Wheels outfit. Here comes Sandro Bakari in P5, nearly 12 seconds behind himself and Hubert. And then Stephen McCarthy, 2.4 between Bakari and McCarthy.
Then 19 seconds down the road, you find the black number 17 car there of Johan Engelbrecht, the Hyundai Elantra. He is being chased down by Willem Botha, who currently sits there in 8th place, 5.7 seconds down the road. Timothy Stanton, another 7 seconds down the road there in that 9th position, and he is about 5 seconds ahead there of the Hyundai of Colin Plitt in 10th.
There is Stanton. Here comes Colin Plitt. Rounding off the top 10 is Colin, 4.4 seconds behind Stanton, with Herman Lazarus 27 seconds separating P10 and 11, Plitt from Lazarus.
Yeah, a lot of guys had some fun out there in race number 1, and all of a sudden it went wrong for them in race number 2. But we see a problem at the front there, as Luke Lucchesi had a big lead, and all of a sudden Johan Fourie is right there by him. Did Lucchesi make a mistake somewhere? Because he just lost a 1.8 second lead, and it dropped down to almost nothing as he ran it a bit wide trying to get past the... is that the Willem Pinaar car? Yes.
Yeah, that's back markers that get in the way. They're not there on purpose.
Sorry, Ian Riddle.
You've got to find your way around those back markers, and that cost him a hell of a lot of time, because there's 0.3 of a second, and now they're going to pick up Francois Hubert. That's sitting in that 13th position, and they're going to put a lap there on Francois in P13.
It's not every day that you can say that Luke Lucchesi and Johan Fourie is busy lapping Francois Hubert.
Francois realizes this and just keeps right out the way, realizing he's completely out of it, and not a damn thing he can do, and he's not going to keep Luke and Johan up, and just moves out of the way. So 0.2 of a second between Lucchesi and Fourie, with 13.5 minutes done out of 20.
That was a beautiful shot coming out of turn number 1 up that railway straight towards Clarkbrand. Now they're up into Brabham Straight. Through the chicane they go now. Then it's into Butcher's Corner up towards McIntyre. That left-hander they go. It's still a bumper to bumper between Lucchesi and Fourie. Through McIntyre they go now, through Duffer's Dip onto the main straight. And this is a brilliant battle here between your two race leaders.
6 minutes left on the clock before we see the checkered flag. And here they come, 0.2 of a second between Lucchesi and Fourie. Into Taylor's Corner they go. And they've got a good couple of back markers they see ahead of them, busy working their way through. That will be Willem Botha, the man in P8, believe it or not. He could be lapped by Lucchesi and Fourie pretty soon. There's a big gap between Fourie and Duggan, 5.5 seconds separating Fourie and Duggan. But now, all of a sudden, Lucchesi is the man that's coming under serious attack as we ride here with the man in P3, Raymond Duggan.
Yeah, Luke Lucchesi absorbing a lot of pressure there from Johan Fourie. Fourie smelt that Lucchesi got a bit bogged down by the back markers, and if he can apply enough pressure now, can maybe try and force him into a mistake. But look at this battle out here. Suisse Hubert currently in that 4th position in the Hot Wheels car, being held up there by Colin Plitt as they work their way around Knockhill.
That was Plitt and Mouget as Suisse makes his way through. He's got nearly 11 seconds on Sandro Bakari. That rounds off the top 5 as we watch that Hot Wheels Veloster working its way around there in P4. Colin Plitt is the man that's behind him. He put a lap there on Colin Plitt. But Luke Lucchesi, 0.5 of a second between himself and Johan Fourie. And they are not too far behind Willem Botha. That's in P8, so they could still lap Botha. As a matter of fact, I think they will. We've only got about, just under, or just over 4 minutes to go.
Yeah, 4 minutes left in this race. Oh, Fourie runs it a bit deep into turn number 1. That gives Lucchesi a bit of breathing space. Duggan currently out there going very slow. He's got a broken front right wheel. He must have had some hard contact there. That front right rim completely destroyed for your 3rd place man, Raymond Duggan. I wonder what happened there.
Well, I'm sure Gary will find the replay if he can get hold of it. But yes, trouble out there for the man that was in P3. Ran off the circuit and just mowed into that tire barrier.
Yeah, and taking a chunk of the rim and the tyre and everything out of it at the same time. They had a faultless run up to this point in that third place, and now you can just see where it comes and bites him in the back end, dropping down all the way to 8th, possibly even 9th there, as Timothy Stanton is working his way towards that pit straight as well. But Lucchese's now got a nice big buffer again as he's out there in first place. 1.4 seconds between him and Fourie. Fourie out there 15 seconds ahead of Swys Hubert.
Well, Willem Botha just got his nose ahead there of Pieter, and that means that the first man that Lucchese will catch is Pieter Hubert in that dice to get past the back markers. There's Swys Hubert in that third position. Here comes Willem Botha going through, going wide. Oh, so it's Hubert that made the move there on Botha, because Botha ran it onto the grass and the dirt. And then through came Luke Lucchese as well.
Yeah, let's have a look what's happening around the circuit here. Swys Hubert working his way around the circuit in the Hot Wheels Hyundai Veloster. Then not any real close battles happening out there at the front at the moment. Sandra Bakari making a bit of an oopsie there, putting it into the kitty litter, but luckily keeping it out of the barrier.
Yeah, that's the most important thing. Stay away from that tyre barrier. It's not going to end good for you, that's for sure. So, Swys Hubert, done a 52 seconds was his last lap, and he's 16.3 seconds behind Johan Fourie, who's now 1.1 seconds behind Luke Lucchese.
Well, and Pienaar did a personal best out there, 52.980. All the way down in 15th position. Riding on board your race leader, Luke Lucchese, as he sits there behind Pieter Hubert. Oh, is he going to tag him? Luckily, it looks like he just managed to stomp on the brakes hard enough to keep that rockstar car out of the Pennzoil.
1.5 minutes to go before we see the checkered flag, and a 51.9 for Timothy Stanton. That's a personal best there for Tim, as Johan Fourie in that second position, 1.3 seconds behind Luke Lucchese. He put a lap there on Willem Botha. That's in that 7th position. These cars are jumping all over the place, and a 52.116 for Sandra Bakari. Another PB there for Sandra Bakari.
Yeah, it looks like Pieter Hubert starting to make things a little bit difficult out there for Johan Fourie. Fourie losing quite a bit of time, flashing his lights, says, "Get out of my way," as they all get the white flag. This is the last lap.
So Pieter Hubert been flashed out the way there by Johan Fourie, who's 1.1 seconds behind Lucchese. There's Lucchese, there's Fourie, and Lucchese is going to pick up Johan Engelbrecht.
Yeah, Johan Engelbrecht there behind him. And let's have a look here. Swys Hubert and Ian Riddle working their way past them. But the checkered flag comes out there as the time is almost finished. Or is that the white flag?
No, there was the white flag that you saw. It was being waved for the back markers. Luke Lucchese, in fact, on the last lap. And with just 5 seconds to go, it will be Luke Lucchese for the win.
Yeah, towards the start-finish line they go. There's half a second between them. Lucchese takes it. Johan Fourie comes home in second. Swys Hubert, he's 18 seconds down the road. He will bring it home in that third position. Stephen McCarthy is away a bit down from him. So Swys Hubert in the Hot Wheels Hyundai will bring it home in third.
Stephen McCarthy will finish in that 4th position, nearly 14 seconds behind Swys Hubert in the DeWalt car. Here comes McCarthy across the line, and right behind McCarthy, 0.6 of a second in P5 is Sandro Bakari.
The next man that'll come through is the black number 17 Hyundai Elantra of Johan Engelbrecht. He works his way through the last corner now, up the main straight. Across the line he goes now. He brings it home in that 6th position, and that is the last of the guys on the lead lap, with Willem Botha in 7th, Timothy Stanton 8th, Colin Plitt in 9th, and Raymond Duggan rounding off your top 10.
Wow, what an eventful event. Brilliant stuff. Luke Lucchese, Johan Fourie, Swys Hubert, that is your podium. When last has Swys Hubert got a top 5, never mind a top 3? It's very, very seldom.
Yeah, brilliant stuff out there. Stephen McCarthy had a good run out here in the final race for the evening as well. Sandra Bakari having come back from a couple of off circuits as well to bring it home in 5th. Engelbrecht in 6th. Timothy Stanton brought it home in 7th position with Colin Plitt in 8th.
Willem Botha in P9, Raymond Duggan P10, Herman Lazarus in 11th, and rounding off your top dozen is Francois Hubert FC. Not a good race meeting for Francois Hubert at all.
Not at all. That's not the standard we're used to seeing from the likes of Francois Hubert, considering he was our 3rd fastest qualifier to finish all the way that far down the log. It just shows you how competitive the field was out there and how easy it was to make a mistake that'll drop you towards the tail end of the field.
Well, that's Heat 1 results. So Heat 1 and Heat 2 was just the other way around, was Fourie Lucchese, and Heat 2 was Lucchese from Fourie.
So yeah, that wraps it up, folks. Brilliant nights racing out here. Lovely stuff to have brought you this one from Knockhill in touring cars for the Western Province Sports and GT Masters.
Well, I'm going to have a quick squiz on my phone and let you know exactly where we are going next week. We were at Knockhill.
Next week we're going to be going to GT3 for next week. It will be the GT3 round number 2 of the MSA GT3 series. Then the week thereafter we'll be going to round number 2 of the Porsche Cup. And then the week thereafter we'll be going back to Sports and GT Masters. But the one that we missed out, Frankie, was on Sunday.
Yeah, but before we go to Sunday, the next Masters will be on the 15th of March. LMP2 cars at the Indy Road Course.
It's going to be something completely different. And then Sunday, starting at 2 o'clock, we'll be having the 6-hour running from 2 o'clock through until 8 o'clock. Driver of the day, FC?
Sure.
Difficult.
I initially wanted to say Raymond Duggan. He had a brilliant evening out there, but then all of a sudden he got it all wrong and broke that rim. So you're going to have to go with Suisse Hubert, who worked his way up into that 3rd position.
Yeah, definitely Suisse Hubert. And my bad luck would be Francois. Just didn't quite work out for him.
Runner-up driver of the day, I would say Stephen McCarthy. Love to have Stephen back there again.
Yeah, McCarthy definitely. I would say my bad luck of the day would have to go to Willem Botha. Man who's always super duper quick out there, and then something just always seems to go wrong for him.
If you look at it there in the qualifying, Willem Botha coming up in 4th position. In the first heat, Willem Botha, where do we find Willem Botha? In 9th position. And then in the feature race, Willem Botha getting it a whole heap better.
Still a few positions ahead of Francois Hubert. That's why I chose Francois.
Let's just say it's a whole heap better. Let's make the man feel good.
Let's say it's all fun. The driver and bad luck.
From the Second Gear Studios, thanks very much to Frankie Yennis, the voice of West Province Motorsport, and to FC Nieuwoud, as always doing a duty here for us in the studios down in Velgelegen in sunny, windy Cape Town, the home of where the e-racing is going to be this weekend. Remember, it's going to be the Kyalami 9-hour, and then that's going to be on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. And then the e-racing Thursday, Friday, and Saturday down here at the home of motorsport in the Western Cape. From my side, Gary Fleming, thanks for joining us, and see you at a racetrack pretty soon. Good night, everybody.